The door slammed so hard behind me that it felt like it shook something loose inside my chest. For a few seconds, I just stood there on the front steps, staring at the chipped paint of the door I had walked through 1,000 times before. Only now, it didn't feel like mine anymore. My father's final words still rang in my ears, cold and sharp. "You're on your own now." No hesitation, no regret, just a clean cut, like I was something he could throw away. I looked down at the small backpack hanging from my shoulder. That was all I had. A couple of clothes, an old notebook, and a charger with no phone to plug into. I hadn't even had time to think. One argument had turned into shouting, shouting into anger, and anger into this, me standing outside with nowhere to go. The night air in Chicago bit through my thin hoodie, and I wrapped my arms around myself, trying to hold in the warmth that was already slipping away. Cars passed by like nothing had happened. People lived their lives, windows glowing with light and comfort, while I stood there, invisible. I thought about knocking again, about apologizing even if I wasn't wrong, just to have a place to sleep. My hand even lifted slightly toward the door, but I stopped. Something inside me refused. If I went back now, I'd lose more than just my pride, I'd lose whatever was left of me. So I turned and started walking. At first, I didn't have a direction. My feet just moved, carrying me away from the house, away from everything familiar. The streets stretched endlessly under dim streetlights, each step heavier than the last. The cold seeped deeper into my bones, and my stomach tightened with hunger, but I kept going. I needed distance. I needed space to breathe, to think, to understand how everything had fallen apart so quickly. Hours passed without me noticing. My mind replayed every moment, every word, every look, every second that led to this. Part of me was angry, furious even. Another part just felt empty. But beneath all of that, there was something else, something quiet and steady. A thought I hadn't allowed myself to fully face until now. I wasn't as helpless as I looked. I stopped under a flickering streetlight and let out a slow breath, watching it fade into the cold air. Anyone passing by would see a kid with nothing, someone who had just lost everything. And maybe, in a way, that was true. I had lost my home, my family, the only life I had ever known. But I hadn't lost my future. A faint smile touched my lips, small and almost invisible. Because while my father believed he had thrown me out into nothing, he had no idea what I was really walking toward. I adjusted the strap of my backpack and kept moving, this time with purpose. The night no longer felt as heavy, and for the first time since the door slammed behind me, I wasn't just running away. I was heading somewhere. The sun had just begun to rise when I reached the end of the quiet coastal road. The sky shifted from deep blue to soft gold, and the air carried a calm warmth that felt completely different from the cold streets I had walked through all night. I stopped for a moment, taking it in, letting the silence settle around me. It was strange how everything could change in just a few hours. The low hum of an engine broke the stillness. A sleek black car approached slowly, its polished surface reflecting the morning light. It came to a smooth stop right in front of me. For a second, I didn't move. To anyone watching, it might have looked like coincidence. But I knew better. The driver stepped out, dressed in a sharp suit, his expression calm and respectful. He walked around the car and gave a slight nod. "Good morning, sir," he said, as if this was the most normal thing in the world. "We've been expecting you." I let out a quiet breath, the last bit of doubt fading away. Without saying much, I opened the door and slid into the back seat. The interior smelled of leather and something subtle, expensive. As the car pulled away, I leaned back and closed my eyes for a second. Just hours ago, I had nowhere to go. Now, I was exactly where I was meant to be. The drive wasn't long, but every second felt like a step into another life. The city faded behind us, replaced by wide-open views and the distant shimmer of the ocean. When the car finally slowed, I opened my eyes and looked ahead. A massive gate stood before us, tall and elegant, guarded but welcoming. It opened smoothly as we approached, revealing a long driveway lined with perfectly trimmed trees. At the end of it stood the mansion, white stone glowing in the morning sun, large windows reflecting the sea, and balconies that stretched wide as if they were reaching for the horizon. I stepped out of the car slowly, my shoes touching the smooth ground. For a brief moment, everything felt still again. This place wasn't just big, it was breathtaking. But more than that, it felt familiar in a way I couldn't explain to anyone else. Inside, the doors opened before I even reached them. The marble floors shined beneath soft light, and the air carried a quiet elegance. A few staff members stood waiting, their posture straight, their expressions warm but professional. "Welcome home," one of them said gently. Home. The word settled deep this time, not like before. Not forced, not fragile. Real. I walked forward, taking in every detail, the high ceilings, the art on the walls, the calm silence that filled the space. This wasn't luck. This wasn't chance. This was something that had always been mine, waiting for the right moment. Last night, I had been standing outside a closed door, told I had nothing. But standing here now, I understood the truth. I hadn't been left with nothing. I had been walking toward everything.